There comes a time when even the most optimistic of Met fans like myself have to have some concern now. The Mets have now lost every single game to the Braves that they've played. They're 0-5 against Atlanta after losing 7-4 tonight at Citi Field, both games at home, choking away game one in Atlanta and getting pounded in every other game with Atlanta. The Mets have a Braves problem. The Mets can't seem to shake those demons right now, and it's getting very frustrating to watch with this team. 1-10 in their last 11. This is a horrendous 11-game stretch. Worst of the season. This is a team 2 weeks ago that was 21 games over 500. Now can't get out of their own way. The starting pitching's come back down to earth. The starting pitching, which was only going 5-6 innings throughout the entire season, is now catching up to the bullpen. Now the bullpen is taxed. The bullpen's being overused, and they're suffering now. The hitting, which has been one of the most inconsistent things about this team, that's gone completely cold with the exception of Juan Soto. The Mets are 29th in baseball with hitting with runners in scoring position. 29th in baseball. The only worst team is the Chicago White Sox. The only worst team. That means the Colorado Rockies, which might be the worst team in baseball ever, has a better average with runners in scoring position than the New York Mets. Because the Mets started so good this year, being 21 games over, because of that, they put themselves in a position to be 1-10 in this last 11 games and still be 12 games over 500. What does that mean at the end of the day? All it means is that they're not collapsing yet. But I'm worried. I can't lie. I can't lie anymore. I can't be this optimistic anymore. I can't put on this act like it's not concerning because I don't know where the help is coming from down the pipe. I don't know where it's coming from. What's going to change over the next 2 weeks? If they make a trade, by the time I put this video out, okay. But what's going to change over the next 2 weeks with this team? The lineup's not changing. The pitching's not changing. Montas came back tonight. Looked pretty good. 5 innings, no runs, 5 Ks, 3 walks. For a guy who was getting tattooed, I don't want to hear about rehab starts anymore. They mean nothing. You go down to rehab to work on your mechanics, to work on your velocity, to work on your arm strength. You don't go down there worrying about your ERA. Montas proved that tonight. Minaya had a setback, but David Stern said nothing to worry about. It's just going to be 24, 48 hours. He'll be back on the grind. Not going to miss much more time. But the concerning part with this team, like I said, is there's nothing coming down the line to help out unless they pull off some sort of trade. And the tough part about pulling off trades now is almost every team, besides maybe 6 to 7 or 8 teams, are still in the race. To make a trade pre-All-Star break is very difficult to do. Very difficult to do. I see a lot of names getting floated around there from the Red Sox, but the Red Sox are still a game or two over 500. I don't know what their plan's going to be. Now, if you want to pick off the White Sox and pick off the Rockies, pick off the Orioles, those are the and the Twins. Those are the teams you're looking at in terms of players available on those teams. But David Stearns and the Mets are in a peculiar situation here because they need to make some sort of move, but there might not be a move right now to make. So the guys on this team are going to have to step up and perform. It's as simple as that. Pete Alonso's had the worst 10-game stretch of his season so far. And there was a ton of Mets fans after the month of the season saying, give Pete Alonso a 5-year extension. Haven't heard much of that lately. This is why you let a full season play out. And I love Pete Alonso. That's not the issue here. But people's screaming to give him as an extension, that's what happens. Lindor, It's been good. Just coming out of a slump, it seems like. Soto's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball over the last month. Nimmo's been good in the 2-hole, but the Mets 5 through 9 have a disgusting lineup right now to look at. You could blame injuries. You could blame everything. Vientos was there, but Vientos wasn't hitting when he was here. Winker was supposed to be there, but Winker wasn't really hitting when he was there. Now you're relying on guys like Jared Young. You're relying on Alvarez was another one that was supposed to come into this year, have his breakout season. He was brutal. Now you have a lineup where Vientos, Alvarez, and guys like McNeil, and McNeil's been okay this year. He's been good. He's been decent. But you have those three guys, especially Vientos and Alvarez, who were supposed to take the next step in their careers and be the consistent players that the Mets were hoping that they got in the young talent. And those two guys have taken complete steps back this year. So, position player-wise, besides Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, and Soto, after that, it has been embarrassing. Ronnie Mauricio can't hit a breaking ball. He shouldn't be up right now. Jared Young shouldn't be up right now. Acuna shouldn't have been up for this long. He just got sent down. Alvarez just got sent down. Now you have Luis Torrens, who's not used to, until that 1 year in Seattle a few years back, who's not used to getting the bulk of the playing time, and he's starting to become a little more exposed. Where's the help coming from? I could only be so optimistic. I can't until they show something. This offense, besides the pitching, right? This offense goes through these games, and it seems to be the same thing with them every time. They have one inning a game where they threaten the other team's pitcher. Just one inning. Like tonight, it's a perfect example of what the Met offenses look like over the last 2 weeks. Actually, longer than that, but the Mets pitching has been pretty good over the season. Best pitching staff in baseball up until, well, technically they still got the best ERA, so it's been helping them a lot. But tonight's a perfect example. They score 3 runs in the 5th inning. That's it. They don't threaten at all until the 9th inning, but they're down 4 already at that point. Now you're asking for a miracle. You're asking for a miracle from a team that just can't get hits with runners in scoring position. 1 inning they threatened. 1 inning. Now, big picture. You look up at the standings. The Mets still have the top 5 record in baseball. Do I think the season's over like some other people? Not at all. Not even close. We're still 2-3 weeks away from the All-Star break. We're a month and a half away from the trade deadline. This is not the finished product. David Stearns and Steve Cohen are not going to allow this to be the finished product and have guys just say, "Oh, they got to perform." No, they're going to plug holes on this team. But that doesn't excuse the god-awful baseball that we've been watching over the last 2 weeks. This is a team that was 21 games over 500 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago. Now they're 12 games over 500. They're a game back of Philly in first place. They can't beat Atlanta. Atlanta has looked like dog crap against almost every other team in the sport, except for the Mets. Atlanta swept the Mets last week in Atlanta. They go to Miami, and they embarrass themselves to the Marlins. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. Embarrassing themselves. What happens? They come back to Citi Field. Here come the Mets. And Atlanta just completely embarrasses them. Atlanta owns the Mets. Pretty much owned them my entire lifetime with the exception of 2 or 3 seasons. 06, 15, and maybe last year. We're reaching a point now where things have to get solved. And if the Mets don't figure it out quickly, it doesn't matter who does it. The Mets just have to stack wins. I've been saying it all year. The Mets have just got to stack wins. That's it. 1-0, 5-1, 10-9. Doesn't matter what the scores are. You just got to stack them this early on in the year. This way, things are a little bit easier in September. So my panic meter is getting a little higher right now because I just hate the way that they're playing. If there was one facet of the team where they weren't performing and that's why they were losing, I would just write it off and say, well, that part of the team will right itself. But it's every facet of the team that's underperforming right now. Hitting, pitching, defense, hitting in the clutch. Everything is a mess. Bullpen, starters, it's all a mess. Everything's a mess. Everything. So at some point, it's going to have to right itself. It has to. This team has too much talent on it. Again, let's go Mets. If you guys like what you see, like, share, subscribe. These videos, definitely like them. Watch them as much as you can. They help me out tremendously. And until the next panic video, let's go Mets.